What's up, guys? This is the Jose Show. Happy Monday, April 28th. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so close to the month of May, which, by the way, has me in shock. But anywho, we still have a lot of good stuff to talk about. So now let's get to it, shall we? Now let's talk about Channing Tatum. So Channing Tatum's gone IG official with his new model girlfriend, Inka Williams, and it was for the perfect moment, which was his birthday. Well, apparently, the 25-year-old went all out on IG story celebrating Channing's 45th over the weekend with the collage of PDA-filled pics. She captioned it, "Happy life to the handsomest, kindest, funniest, stupidest, most gorgeous human ever." Okay, so apparently the Aussie babe Inka wrapped up the caption with "Mercy for making life beautiful and fun," and threw in a little French flair with JTM Trop Fort, which means "I love you a lot." Alright, so this is really amazing that Channing Tatum and this girl, Inka Williams, are official because they make such a cute couple despite the huge age difference. Because Channing Tatum is so freaking sexy, and this girl, Inka, is also really pretty. And I think that they're really going to find a way to really make this huge relationship come into a good connection, come into a really good loving connection. Because despite the age difference, they're still going to, probably share a lot of good stories together. They're going to share a lot of good kisses together, a lot of good hugs together, a lot of good adventures together. And a lot of the times when it comes to a huge age difference, like with this couple, for example, there's also, so much to see when it comes to a person's heart more than it comes to a person's looks. Because, I understand that in many times, yes, there is the wallet, which is the big thing when it comes to huge age differences, when it comes to relationships. But, I think that she doesn't want to focus on that, and she just wants to focus on the good, the beautiful of the soul of Channing Tatum, which I believe is what's getting Inka to be with Channing Tatum. Because here's the thing, I believe that if Inka were to be with Channing Tatum just for the money, I would see it immediately, because I wouldn't notice that there would be a lot of love connection between both Channing Tatum and Inka, especially on Instagram. What I would see is just a lot of separation, a lot of distance. I wouldn't see so many flirtations going on Instagram and none of that. And I also noticed, by the way, that Channing Tatum, he is 45 years old, and I think that he is now wanting to come into a whole set in his life where he wants to settle down with this girl, even though this girl is 20 years younger than him. And he, wants to just enjoy life. But if things are not going to work out between Inka and of course Channing Tatum, then okay, oh well. It is what it is at the end of the day. But personally, in my opinion, I am not here for the huge age gap differences. I really am here for the small gap differences when it comes to age. I feel like it's okay to be dating someone that is a year older than you, 2 years older than you, maybe up to 5 years older than you, and that's it. Because I feel like that's where there is more commonality, there is more connection, and that's just my opinion. But in this case with Inka and Channing Tatum, I believe that there's somewhat of an exception, I guess, even though they are 20 years apart. But anyways, this girl is very lucky, though, that she's going to be able to cuddle with this guy, or she's already cuddling with this guy, and she's already kissing this guy, and she's already, doing a lot of beautiful other things with this guy. Because, like I said, Channing Tatum is so freaking sexy. Like, come on now. I believe that he is one of the sexiest men in Hollywood. Okay? Just saying. But congrats to these people, to these beautiful, to these lovebirds. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Travis Scott. So Travis Scott's carefully curated Cactus Jack themed Coachella didn't come without a price. Now the hip-hop headliner cost the festival's organizer $20,000 for squeezing out a few extra minutes. Now a rep for the city of Indio tells TMZ Hip Hop that Golden Voice will be charged $20,000 for one night of missing the curfew timeline on Saturday, April 12, when Travis was on center stage. So apparently it was the only fine issued for Golden Voice across both Coachella weekends and Stagecoach Festival festival, which went down on April 25th to 27th, City of Indio officials established the fines as part of its contractual agreement with Golden Voice, which outlines a daily penalty of $20,000 for the first 5 minutes past curfew, with an additional $1,000 added to every tardy minute after. Okay, so Coachella Festival and Indio initiated their existing contract in 2013, which runs through 2050, a move to give curfews more wiggle room than in past agreements. So this is really insane, man, that Travis Scott got to cost the festival $20,000 because of the fact that he was on stage for an extra few minutes. I think that is a lack of consideration right there, and I think that Travis Scott should have understood that his time was up, period. Because here's the thing, not only is a fine needed to pay now, but also let's remember that a lot of stuff needs to be put away, okay? And then of course a lot of people need to go to sleep, a lot of people need to get back home, especially because a lot of these people that went to Coachella got to travel like up to 2-3 hours just to go all the way down there, because the majority of those people that were over in Coachella were people that were traveling over from Los Angeles, from Santa Barbara, from Riverside, from San Bernardino, you name it. And it definitely, very tiring having to be driving from there all the way to Coachella and Coachella back. So, I understand as to why this curfew was put in place in the first place, especially because, it was already late at night. I believe it was like past 11 o'clock anyways. So, there's a highly understandable thing, in my opinion, as to why the festival is now having to pay $20,000 for all of this. But at the same time, I believe that $20,000, man, is a huge fine. That is just an immense fine. But I do really feel bad for the people that got to organize all of this, because they worked their asses off to make sure that the festival is well done and that everyone is safe and all of that, just so someone like Travis Scott can go off and ruin everything by now costing the festival $20,000 because of what he just did and is staying a bit after. Okay, I understand that Travis Scott is the kind of guy that likes to throw a show and that likes to make sure that he is really captivating his audience. But in this case, he needed to have some consideration. In my opinion, I think that Travis Scott should be the one paying the $20,000 because he was the one that got to stay a bit long. It wasn't the festival. It wasn't the festival that even convinced him to stay longer. No, it was Travis Scott that chose to be on a bit longer. So he needs to pay the $20,000. All right, and if he ends up paying the $20,000, then good. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Virginia Giuffre. So Virginia Giuffre, who publicly accused convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of sexual abuse, has died by suicide. Now the Western Australia Police Force tells TMZ officers responded to a call on Friday at 9:50 p.m. local time after a 41-year-old woman was located unresponsive at a residence in near Gabby. So apparently, emergency first aid was provided, but she could not be revived. She was pronounced dead at the scene. So an investigation into Giuffre's death is ongoing, but police note circumstances are not suspicious. So apparently her family announced she took her own life in a statement to People Friday while praising her as a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Meanwhile, her lawyer Sigrid McCauley tells TMZ her dear friend Giuffre was fearless, adding her sunny strength was contagious and her smile spread hope to so many. All right, so this is really insane, and this is all according to TMZ, by the way. I think that Virginia Giuffre got to commit suicide because of the traumatic past that she went through with this horrible man at Jeffrey Epstein. And I also believe that the reason to why she committed suicide was because since the whole entire case and between her and him was getting revived just like years later, because I believe this happened like years ago where she got sexually abused by this man, I believe it really got to her even more, that she just couldn't take it anymore and she ended up taking away her own life. And I believe that she needed a lot of help, of course. She needed so much help instead of doing what she did. And I think that nobody was paying attention to her. Everyone just saw her as the victim, as just someone that was supposed to be kept alone, and that was all. And, I believe that she maybe didn't even have any friends to reach out to in order to help her out with what she was dealing with, in order to really overcome what she was going through, so that way she would have not committed what she committed. So I mean, I understand though that she was going through so much, because I just can't imagine just having to go through such a traumatic past with somebody that was hurting you, and that was mentally, emotionally, especially hurting you, like what Jeffrey Epstein did to this poor girl. So anyways, I really feel bad though for the poor family that found out about all of this, man. All of this. Like, I just don't even want to be in their shoes right now. I just think that, it's really sickening, and it's really evil that she had to go through all of this. And it's not just very evil and sickening. I also think that it's really, really atrocious in so many levels. Like, nobody deserves to go through any of this at all whatsoever. Okay, so anyways, my heart, my prayers, my thoughts go out to Virginia Giuffre's family, and may Virginia Giuffre rest in peace. May she rest in peace. Okay, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Kim Kardashian. So one of the key suspects in the Kim Kardashian Paris robbery reportedly died suddenly just as the case against him was about to go to trial. So according to the Daily Mail, Marceau Baumgartner died on March 6 in Paris. His cause of death is not yet known. So Marceau was accused of working alongside the gang that held the Keeping Up with the Kardashian star at gunpoint in 2016. The 72-year-old was expected to go on trial on Monday alongside others accused of being involved in the 10 million heist. So TMZ broke the story that Kim is going to take the stand at the trial of the Parisian underground gang alleged to have been behind the robbery. She'll appear in court in May when she will testify. So apparently Kim previously gave the judge in the Paris robbery case a blow-by-blow of what happened, but now she has the opportunity to tell a jury what went down on that infamous night. Okay, so Baumgartner refused to name others involved in the robbery during pre-trial interrogations. According to the report, there was the possibility he would name names as a way of getting less prison time. Okay, so this is really insane, and this is all according to TMZ, by the way. I think that Kim Kardashian really went through something, and I thank God that she did not get shot and that she is still with us till this day, because man, I think it's insane just having to go through a situation where you are held at gunpoint and you are getting robbed, okay, especially at a hotel room over in Paris. Now, I really wonder where her bodyguards were at, because her bodyguards would have easily protected her, and of course, they would have easily beaten up these people that were trying to get at Kim Kardashian. Okay, I believe that Kim Kardashian should have really thought about contacting bodyguards to be with her, especially in that very moment, especially because she's Kim Kardashian and she has the enough money to be paying and hiring these bodyguards to be with her. Okay, now I also believe here that I am so glad that her kids were not under any danger, because I believe that her kids were not with her when this whole entire gunpoint situation was going on. I believe her kids were with Kanye at the time, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong though. But anyways, I think though that it's really insane that this whole entire case is now being brought up 8 years later, almost 9 years later, when all of this should have and could have gotten brought up back in 2017 or back in 2018, at least 2 years after the whole entire situation. Because, I mean, back then, the situation was just recent. Now it's like really, really old. So I really wonder why it took this long to bring up the whole entire case. But anyways, I think that, of course, the person that got to commit suicide, which happened to be one of the suspects, I believe was already knowing that they were going to head to prison because, of course, what he did and the rest of the gang did was not pretty. It was not funny at all. It was pretty serious. So there's also that. But anyways, Kim Kardashian, the next time that you go out, especially having something expensive with you, I really suggest that you, girl, hire some bodyguards, really good bodyguards to protect you. Period. Okay, just saying. All right, but anyways, that is it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's lovely episode of the Jose Show. Till next time, and peace.